Hello friends, thank you for joining me again today. My name is Dan and this is Daily Art Adventure number 670. Let's get legal here. I don't know who the legal police are. Wait a minute, broadcasting without a clapper. I entertain myself anyway. So I started this painting last night. 30 by 40 inches, and hang on just a second, let me turn down my 30 by 40 inches, and got this far and got completely rained out. That was a surprise. So let's just paint as fast as we can here. I just did some of those water soluble pastels, as you probably saw. Rather tight quarters around here, by the way. All right, I'm going to do some warm glazes. So I'm still in acrylics. I'll switch to oils here pretty shortly, probably, but at least 2 more layers of acrylics to come yet. So this is just warm stuff. And again, some of you who say to us, the rest of us, I wish I could paint looser. So, okay, then simply by watching me do it, you go, oh, that would be one good response. Simply by watching me, you go, oh, my. I didn't know we could do that. Okay, so now you know. 4-inch brushes, 1 in each hand, and just make great big marks. The essence of good painting is making interesting marks. And the essence of interesting marks is variety. A lot more life and activity happening down here tonight on a Saturday night than there was last night, which is good for me. I would like to sell this painting tonight, and at the moment I need a considerably better bid on it than what I've got going. So yes sirree, send the people please. And if they're a little bit drunk, all the better. Not that you have to be drunk to like my paintings. No. Just that it helps to be drunk to part with $500,000, $1,500. All right, I'm liking that already. And there's not an awful lot of those pastel marks that I just put down. They got pushed back a good bit. So I knew that was going to happen, but I can see them here and there, so that's good. That's good. All right, next thing. Having done a wash, yeah, I think the next thing is white, opaque white, wherever I am seeing light areas. Now, okay, let me take a minute and point you at, hey guys, I'm going to point you at the scene that I'm painting. There it is, something like that, a little bit higher than that. And they took down the umbrellas. I came back tonight and the umbrellas are gone. So I'm a little dismayed by that because I have to paint umbrellas anyway, and they're not there anymore. I say this often, but go ahead, I'll say it again. Ask my regular viewers. He is not averse to saying things more than once. No, sirree, I am not. I am not. I have no compunction against repeating myself. I had a friend many years ago who said, I'm a man of very few words. I just use them a lot. Sorry, I thought that was funny. That's circa 1978, just by the way. See, my memories, long-term memories, doing just fine. Okay, so here's the thing. I told you about repeating myself, and then I just went off into regales of laughter and jokiness. So here's what I'm going to say. That painting opaque white into wet is particularly enjoyable because it creates a little slurry, I think is the word I used just the other day. Creates a delightful mush of paint. And I mention that partly because I know that's one of the things that you control freaks, forgive me, you know who you are. Most of you are admitting it. That's one of the things that you don't like. You don't like the slurry. You don't like paint that's not all carefully prescribed. I just realized I'm going to put a flag here. I had one sketched in earlier. Glad I remembered it because it's getting pretty close to the point that it would not be effective to add things like that late in the process. There's a tip for anybody if you're trying to paint in my technique somewhat. This is not like traditional opaque oil or acrylic painting where you can add things, elements late in the process. For instance, like many times over the years in my classes, we'll be doing a rural scene, maybe with a barn in it, something kind of traditional for a class, and one of my students will not put a tree or a bush or something like that because he or she, they're thinking like an old-fashioned, if you will, traditional oil painter. And I said, or they'll say, I don't have a tree in there, and I say, or whatever, and I'll say, why? And they'll say, because I was going to put it in later. Okay, so that is not in keeping with this technique. My technique is essentially, and I've said this many times, if you had to reduce Dan Nelson's style or technique to one word, one good candidate for that one word would be transparent. Dan Nelson. Oh yeah, he's that transparent guy. Okay, that would be an appropriate simple summary of my technique of painting. So if it's layers of transparent color, then it's like a watercolorist. You cannot add elements late. So this is why I said it. Whoops, I don't want that quite that bright. That's going to be an umbrella there, and if I got too late in the process, it would be too bad umbrella. I can't. As you can, by the way, in a traditional opaque painting, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. In traditional oil or acrylic painting that's opaque. In fact, in traditional oil and traditional oil and acrylic painting, you basically start with the furthermost object. In a landscape, that's always the sky. You start with the sky, and then you move forward degree by degree. So sky, mountain, hill, tree, barn, fence. Wait, let's put a horse in there. Barn, horse, fence, weed in front of the fence. Do you follow me? So you paint in that order. That's if you're a traditional opaque painter. And there's nothing wrong with that, per se. Just certainly not the way I paint. And that's related now to my oft-repeated mantra or teaching that this is, I think, the journey most good artists take. The first half, and these are not equal halves. In fact, some people don't ever get to the second half. The first half of your art journey, say it with me, you regulars. First half of your art journey, you learn to paint stuff that looks like stuff. And I think that's a very, very important part of the journey. And I don't think it should be curtailed, shortcutted, whatever word you want to use there. First half of the journey is discipline. Learn how to paint stuff that looks like stuff. Second half of the journey, learn how to paint stuff that looks like paint. I'm being kind of cute in my, if you will, in my, choices of word. But the second half of the art journey is indeed, you're still painting stuff that looks like stuff, but all of the abstract elements of composition are paramount, are more important. They supersede the picture quality. So in my opinion, that's good painting. Okay? You start out painting like you name somebody who paints pretty pictures. I'll use an extreme popular example. You start out painting like Thomas Kincaid, but you want to move or migrate to Rembrandt, John Singer Sargent. We are not Gainsborough, Franz Hals, and I'm not talking about copying their style, of course. Here's an even better example, and I've actually put together a little handout in this regard. You start out painting like Robert Wood. Most of you, even if you are my age, you probably don't remember Robert Wood, but he was the Thomas Kincaid of the 1950s. Okay, painted pretty pictures. My parents had a Robert Wood print on our living room wall when I was a little kid. So start out, sure. Start out, even if you have to, sure. Start out painting like Bob Ross, sure, what the heck. Just get through that stage really quickly. Paint like Bob Ross for 3 or 4 weeks, good, that's done. Do your first palette knife painting, Paint stuff that learn what stuff looks like and paint it. Do figure studies, do landscape, do still life, everything. All right, I'm beating this subject too much to death, so let me leave it quickly. And then at some point in your glorious future, the sky opens, the angels sing, the sun shines, the birds come out. And you suddenly see the light and go, oh my goodness. It's not all about painting stuff. It's all about painting paintings. Okay, now, and again, I'm beating this thing to death, so. Hello. Yes.
Hey.
Thank you. Good to
How
see
are
you.
ya?
Very good.
What you painting?
There were umbrellas here last night when I started it. So.
Are you painting for something?
No, it's for sale. Would you like to place a bid? It's only $500 at the moment. That's ridiculous. Yes, exactly. Bless you. Thank you for your service. Okay, so first half of journey, paint stuff that looks like stuff. I'm pretty much of the opinion, I don't expect this to have any great impact on our society anytime soon, but I'm pretty much of the opinion that students art students, college art students, should be taught nothing but how to paint stuff that looks like stuff. Now, they certainly should not be taught about expressing themselves. And they really shouldn't be taught, they shouldn't even really be encouraged to be creative. I don't, that sound, I mean, everything I'm saying now is so contrary to the commonly accepted view. So I expect most of you to be gagging and spewing, well, not you, good artists, but any non-artist who would by any chance hear what I'm saying, they would just be aghast. That's a good word, isn't it? They would be aghast at what I'm saying. I think college students should be taught how to paint stuff that looks like stuff. It's conceivable that by the time they get into their master's program, they can branch out into, I'm exaggerating, you know, I confess that right now. I'm kind of exaggerating to make the point. First half, second half. All right, so let me, wait. First half of life, you paint like Robert Wood. If you don't know who that is, just Google him. Robert Wood paintings, all right? Second half of life, you paint, and I'm going to name another American artist who lived and painted at exactly the same time as Robert Wood, and that is Edgar Payne, P-A-Y-N-E, Edgar Payne. And sometimes called the father of the California School of Plein Air Painting. Edgar Payne painted Plein. Plein air. Isn't that clever? I'm just so clever. This stuff I'm doing down here in the foreground, I mentioned it last night, and now that I'm doing it, it'd be a good time for me to mention it again. One of my recent mantras, I need to come up with another word besides mantra because I'm using it, but oft repeated principle, foundational principle, is this: our eyes, human eyeballs, are irresistibly attracted to punctiliar light. I used a different word instead of irresistible, but that's all right, this will do. Excuse me just a minute, I need to turn around and see, make sure I'm painting stuff right. Our eyes are irrevocably drawn to punctiliar light. Now, and I don't want to repeat everything too much, but I pretty much have to explain why am I using the big word punctiliar light when I could say points of light. The reason is if I see points of light, a significant number of my students, audience, will visualize, imagine, and think that I'm talking about lights, like stars, candles, Christmas lights, okay? So that's why I don't say points of light, because you'll be painting a landscape and you'll say, well, there's no candles or stars or anything like that in this scene, so there's no, of course there's no points of light. So that's why I don't use the word points of light, because that half of you, more than half of you, will be misled. So I say punctiliar light. What's the difference? Well, it's just connotation, of course, but punctiliar has the connotation of I'll say point-ish light. Light that is point-ish, so not sources of light. All right, and that's exactly what's happening down here. These points of light are not light bulbs or candles. They're light-colored sidewalk, peeking through, poking through people, chairs, furniture, arms, legs, torsos, people sitting down here. That's what I mean. The human eye is irresistibly attracted to punctiliar light. Let me go back to the landscape that you guys might be painting. Let's imagine that you're painting a little body of water, or like a lake or a stream. Oh my goodness. And you've got a body of water, and on the shore of the water are some weeds. All right? So I'm just trying to give you kind of a cliche. The bookmarks. Where was I? Oh yeah, so you've got water. Let's say it's generally light-colored water, right? The sun shining on it. And you've got weeds in front of the water. And inexperienced, or a painter who doesn't know this principle, will paint the water light and then paint the weeds dark in front of the water and go, I am done. And I go, oh my goodness, no, you missed a golden opportunity for punctiliar light. So what does that mean? That means you paint the water light, then you paint the weeds dark, then you come back with like sky holes, like tree holes in a tree, and with the light color that the water was painted, you come back and you add punctiliar lights poking through the weeds. That make sense? That's just a classic example. All right, let me stop pontificating. Pontificate, which I think means to behave like the Pope, the pontiff. So let me come down off my papal throne and try to paint here a little bit. I might be done with the acrylic stage. So how do I know when I'm done? Here's the list. When the drawing is mostly done and mostly correct, when the color is mostly done and mostly correct, and when the values are mostly done and mostly correct. It doesn't have, none of those have to be exact, but they have to be, as we say in the country, within shouting distance of perfect, so that you can see it from here. Yeah, and that's where I am. My drawing is essentially, I have a lot more detail to do everywhere, but the essential drawing is close, and the colors are a little too hot, but that's me, that's right. The screen will be pushed back and so on. And the values, so I've got light happening here, light here, and dark out there. All right, I think I am done. That means I'm going to pause here. Let me first then pick up my iPad monitor and talk to you guys for just a minute. Thank you for all your chats. I appreciate it. Yes, Barbara, those are water-soluble pastels made by Charvan. Let me find the box here, since you ask. And again, I don't really know what the difference between a water-soluble pastel and a regular, but I'm assuming there's something. And they look like, so that's what they look like in the box. And here's what the cover looks like, right? So water-soluble pastels. Think Grade 8, did you ever do Daily Art Adventure 600? Yes. Is it missing? Oh, maybe I didn't. You know, that's possible. That's a good question. I need to go back and look. Thanks for alerting me to that fact. 600 maybe never got done, so I'll go check on it. Yeah, Blues Against the Yellow Golds. I like that too. Thanks. Nancy, my wife Nancy, was watching at 6:34. Is my phone still working? Yeah, so 15 minutes ago. Hey, sweetie. Thanks for watching. Maybe the kids too. I like when you guys talk to each other. Blank Canvas Painter. Hey, I loved your loved your donation today and your comment, which will remain just between you and me, but it was hilarious. I told my wife about it. Thank you. I'm distracted. Watch that guy load stuff in his car. I was wondering that same thing. That is so funny. Yes, there was a big video bomb. Right? Yes, good. Artist Ross. I'm glad you know Edgar Payne. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he just, looking at his paintings are just a clinic, are just a class. It's like, oh my goodness, why can't I paint that good? Sort of the way you feel, right? We're working on it, though. We are working on it. Thank you, Edgar. What a great name, Edgar. One of my favorite stupid movies is Men in Black. And I love that. I love Edgar's wife. Edgar. Sorry, I don't usually do pop culture references in my broadcast, but Edgar. Speaking of Tommy Lee Jones, no, is that the right? Have I got the right? Men in Black. All of a sudden, I'm drawing a blank. Like, yeah. When my wife and I first got married, 1980, we lived in a tiny little town in the middle of Texas called San Saba, Texas. Population 2,500. An hour's drive to the nearest McDonald's. Not that we survived okay without a McDonald's. Yeah, we did. Proving it can be done. It was hard, but we did it. And evidently, Tommy Lee Jones is from San Saba. He wasn't there when we were there. I think he moved into a big old ranch house outside of town after we moved away. So I have this oft-stated wisecrack that when I tell people we lived in San Saba, Texas, I hope there's somebody from San Saba listening. That would be a hoot. And I will say to people, because if they're from Texas, and I say, well, we used to live in Texas. My wife and I lived in San Saba, Texas. And I'll say, I'll give you $1. Sometimes I say, I'll give you a quarter. I'll give you a quarter if you know where that is, or I'll give you $1 if you know where that is. So a couple of years ago, I was painting a wedding in Burbank, Hollywood wedding in Burbank, California. We're standing at a bed and breakfast, and one of our fellow guests was from Texas. He's a very loquacious, friendly fellow. And so we were chatting, and I said, oh, you're from Texas. I said, why? My wife and I lived in San Saba. I'll give you $1 if you know where that is. He looked straight back at me and said, I was there 2 days ago. And that's only the beginning of the story. Turns out he's Tommy Lee Jones's chauffeur, handyman, I don't know, whatever you call the person that you pay to do all the stupid stuff you don't want to do if you're really rich. That's what this man was. So we had a great fun visit. Pardon me while I drink some ginger ale. All right. Oh, I told you I was going to take a break, and I didn't. So forget that. I'm not taking a break. Let's just keep right on going. Usually I pause, but I got so wrapped up in this glorious story about Men in Black, Edgar, that I just did it all right in front of you there. So acrylics out, oils in. Let's just get to work here. So I'm mixing up now liquid. Let me show for those of you who are new. My my medium of choice, and it's really nice to be outside. The only downside about liquid is it's a little bit smelly. But the upside of it is it's transparent, it's glossy, I like that. But it also plays very well with water. So somebody tells me, some scientist tells me that this paint, acrylic paint, though it's dry, as you can see, it's not completely cured, which sounds reasonable to me. Therefore, there are some things you would not want to put on top of this uncured paint. But it turns out that liquid is not one of them. Liquid has this serendipitous quality of playing nicely with water. You follow me? It's an oil-based medium. It's an oil medium that plays well with water. Now, I don't even know if Winsor Newton knows that about their liquid, but I know it. So that's part of the reason too why I am not worried about the archival quality of my paintings. It's partly because of that accidental quality of the liquid, that the molecules in the liquid bind together very happily with water molecules. And the color I'm using right now, again, I just tell it for curiosity's sake, not so that you should take notes or copy me or anything like that, but is oxide red, which is probably, honestly, if you'd say, what's your favorite color, Dan? And can you prove that by how much of it you buy? Then the answer would have to be, yeah, I buy more oxide red. Just for instance, now these tubes are getting small, but in this, let me move you down just for a second. So in my box, right, there's my oil paint, so you can see the messy, and a green fork. The fork is not for eating food, that's for scratching paintings. Most of the paintings, most of the tubes are 37 milliliter or 1.25 ounces, right? But there's two tubes that I buy large. One is titanium white alkyd, which all you artists understand that, and oxide red. That one's almost gone, but I have a small spare in here ready to go. So there you go. What's my favorite color based on how much of it I buy? The answer would have to be oxide red. And again, you know, don't you? It's not red, it's brown. There are several browns that the art world calls different colors. Indian red, English red. That's not Indian. Indian yellow. I was getting my nationalities mixed up there for a second. Yellow ochre is not yellow, it's brown. Red light, get that one. Red light is not red, it's brown. And oxide red is not red, it's brown. Now, it's a reddish brown, of course. Actually more like an orangish brown, very close to burnt sienna. Anyway, I know half of you, I'm insulting your intelligence by reciting things like that, but there might be just somebody out there who's still kind of confused about that when they buy a tube of red light and open it up and it's not red at all. Yeah, it's one of those weird things in the art community, art culture, you have to kind of get used to. So I've just warmed up the entire painting quite a bit, right? I haven't done this this corner up here yet. I'm getting to that. All right, so without cleaning my brushes, I'm going to dip them in some phthalo blue. As you know, a little phthalo goes a long way. Some of you perhaps are scared. You're afraid of phthalo. Just get over it. I say you cannot be an artist and be afraid of phthalo. Sorry to burst your bubble. Better have it burst so you can get over it and grow up. You are no longer allowed to say, oh, I don't like phthalo. No, you can't do that. There are colors of blue I think you cannot get if you don't have phthalo on your palette. The issue is, the thing is, it's a staining color, that's all. So you have to treat it differently because it behaves differently. It's way more intense than most of the other tubes of paint. Now, if you have a student grade phthalo, you're wondering what I'm talking about because you're saying, well, I don't get it. My phthalo is okay. Well, that's because you have cheap phthalo. Do not. I'm not a snob, as you know, but there's some colors that you should ignore in student grades, and one of those is phthalo. It's, I don't know, I guess it's not fake phthalo, it's probably real, but the pigment content is so low that it's actually deceiving you, and it's not a good quality color in the student grade, at least all the student grades I've ever seen. So there you go. Stay away from student grade phthalo blue, but don't stay away from phthalo. You must have it. And it's my go-to color for sky. Now, that was a very dirty phthalo because my brushes, as you know, still had a fair amount of oxide red in them. At the moment, as you can see, I am vignetting. I'm not sure that really is a verb, but I'm turning it into a verb. If I'm putting a vignette on the painting, which I almost always say, it is not a universal. Not all paintings should fade to dark in the corners, but most of them should. Okay? It's not a hard and fast rule by any means, but it usually works fairly well. It is indeed working. Now my corners were already dark somewhat in the acrylic phase, but I'm just pushing it, exaggerating it. Now here, let's do something very specific in violet, dioxazine violet. This tree up here, even though it's a lovely green, is way, way, way too green. So I'm anti-greening it and darkening it at the same time, because it also needs to be darker. So there we go. That's much, much better. Now the most radical anti-green, of course, would be red, straight up red, fire engine red. But I didn't need to anti-green it to that degree. Plus, in addition to that, I wanted it to be considerably darker. So by using the purple violet, I accomplished both of those things at the same time. Same thing here with this tree, a little bit darker. The lighting I'm looking for on this street still has not happened. It didn't happen last night because a great big thunderstorm blew in right about this time. So there was no sunshine at all. And so far today we haven't got to the point, to the time, part of the day of the light that I'm aiming for. Am I just confusing you dreadfully? I hope not. What I'm saying, I'm waiting for the sun to go down even further than it is right now. In order to see if the light that I'm imagining, well, these people are all too green too, so I'm anti-greening all these figures down here. Not sure how they ended up so green, but there, now that's better. They're more neutral tone. So that's what it means, if you will. That's a good example of what it means to paint with transparent colors instead of with traditional opaque. All you watercolorists, this is second nature to you, so that that's no big deal. What you just saw me do is like, yeah, it's exactly what you would do in watercolor, except that, of course, I have the luxury of coming back and doing white light on top of it, so it's way easier than watercolor. In case you watercolorists don't know that I know that what you do when you do watercolors is way more difficult than this. I'm not doing my technique because it's hard. I'm in fact doing it because it's easy. The technique is easy. All right. I think that's good enough for the glazes. Now, I have just a very specific one bit of wiping. Typically after glazing, I need to wipe stuff out. Here we are, still loading up the car over here. Hey, Nicholas Bravo. Have some more ginger ale. Thank you, my friend. That is very much appreciated. Thank you so much. That's a super chat there from Nicholas. Appreciate it immensely. Thank you for your kindness and support. So I am erasing now, as you can see. The main energy in this painting is supposed to be right in here. Shop windows, light coming from stores, and light hitting the sidewalk coming between the figures, and then somewhat energy up here, of course, here, and here. Composition-wise, what would I label this? Composition, one way to describe a good composition. There are other ways, but this one way is that the major light or dark areas can be defined with one word. So this is all one light area right there. And here's another light. It's almost a clamshell with it narrow at the middle. But this has light area. There's a light donut up here. And a horizontal, that's not one word. So by that test, this may not be all that great of a composition. But I'm not going to worry about it too much because I think it looks pretty good. Just because I can't think of the one word doesn't mean it's not good. All right, what do I do now? Actually, what I am going to do now is take a little break. And you guys, I just saw one of your comments. Ginger ale, sure it is. Oh, that's funny. Yep. All right, what are you guys saying? Oh, what city? This is Raleigh, North Carolina, my hometown. Yeah, come on. Do I always feel safe out here on the street? Yeah, I've been doing this 15 years. I've never felt in danger on this street. I have been in other parts of this town where I did not feel safe because I wasn't. Uncle 60 ginger ale. Sure it is. It is a safe street. Thanks. That's right. That's right. Both of us? Excellent. Excellent. Okay, time up for a selfie. Whoops. Wait a minute. Get rid of that. Excellent.
I'm telling you, my daughter.
Oh, good.
Following you for sure.
Good. Thank you. Uncle 60 says, "Can you paint one all-in acrylics one day?" Oh yeah, could I? Yeah, I'll probably do that. Uncle 60. Do a whole painting of acrylics so you see what that looks like. It happens every once in a while. I'll try to remember and announce when I'm going to do that. Yeah, ginger beer. Uncle said, "Do I keep up with the honeydew list?" Not this week. Not this week, guys. You see where I've been. Yes, it is up for bid again. Absolutely. And the latest bid is $500, which I will not accept. I will not let this painting go for $500. So if you want to place a bid, please place a chat in that respect, and we'll go from there. Thanks for asking. All right, little break time. I want to rest my feet, rest some other parts of me. That sounded funny, didn't it? And I'll be back, I would think, in 10 minutes. That's what I think, but you know how stuff goes. All right, thanks, guys. Be back in a minute. All right, we back in business? I think we are. I actually intended to use these oil sticks before I did the glaze, and I just forgot. So I'm going to do it now. As you can see, most of these marks, whoops, oh darn, that one broke. It's not a happy development. Most of these marks have nothing to do with realism. They're just interesting marks. And you can still see, of course, several of the marks of the original underpainting, the abstract that I put down first, and I'm actually re-accentuating some of those marks a little bit. And a newcomer could say to me, well, I don't get it. Why are you making lines like that right on top of your painting? Well, first of all, there were lines already underneath the painting. Maybe you saw those, maybe you didn't. So I'm really just echoing what's already there. Now I'm going to paint on top of this, everything that I'm putting down, of course. So this is not, if I were to stop the painting here, I think those marks would be contrived and artificial and corny. I would not like the effect, but I'm not going to stop here. So that those marks, the marks will be somewhat, definitely reduced, even subsumed in the continuing painting process. You know what? I think I'm going to sit down. So that means I have to move my basket of bookmarks. $1. You're going to own a. Whoops! My wife is calling me. It might be an emergency. So hang on just a minute. I do need to call my wife back. All right, pardon me, psych. Quick break. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Turns out it was not an emergency. She thought I was still on my break, so somehow her feed is out of sync. All right, I have thrown myself a pretty significant challenge here for fast painting. I am committed to doing a number of figures here, and they have to be believable, right? Unfortunately, I have taken a few pictures, not many, but a few. And so I'm going to take several minutes literally drawing people and trying to be basically as accurate as I can in a loose manner. But the focus absolutely must be on accurate, not loose. Let me say this again. I've said it many times over the years, and I suspected it for years before I ever said anything about it. And some of you I bet, have suspected the same thing. So let's again, because I want you all, I want all of us, I want all the artists in the world, I know that sounds a little pompous, I want us all to go up artistically. We all go up together and we all go down together. That's a long conversation. I have to stand up for a minute, get perspective right. Yep. Anyway, so I want us all to get better. Therefore, I'm going to blow the cover off a lot of art. I won't say artists, but you know, if I'm blowing the cover of art, then I'm blowing the cover artists as well. Here it is. In the last century and a bit, century and more, more people have done, I would say, impressionistic painting than anything else. There's no great debate there. That's nothing new. If you walk into any, Nashville Artists Association annual show. Okay, so I'm not talking about museums. I'm not talking about oil painters of America or the best painters in America or anything like that. I'm just talking about your basic small town or medium town or even big town local artists association. Let's say if there are 100 paintings in the show, I just want to make something clear that you guys already know this is clear. You've just never had, certainly not an artist, admit it to you or spell it out to you. If there are 100 paintings in the show, there may be 5 super realistic or hyper realistic paintings. This is just a rough estimate. This is typical, okay? 5 out of 100 are super realistic. 20 out of 100 are completely abstract, or the technically correct term actually is non-objective. That means there's no object in it. Most of us use the term abstract, but that's not really the case. My painting is abstract. But what most people mean when they say abstract is non-objective. It's a picture of nothing, okay? And I like non-objective paintings, and I have done many of them. That's another topic. That's another conversation for another time. So bear with me for a minute. So what's the name of the Gary, Indiana Art Association annual members show. 100 paintings. Probably 5 of them are at least attempts at a hyperrealism or definite realism, like copying a photograph, all right? 20 of them, maybe more, will be non-objective, all right? So that's 25. Generally speaking, the other 75 paintings, 100 paintings, assuming 100, are all impressionist, could go under the general heading of impressionistic, not impressionism. That's Monet and Manet and a whole bunch of other people from 100 years ago. Not impressionism, but impressionistic. What that means, that certainly is what my painting is. I haven't gotten to the part yet here where I'm going to sort of, as I said, blow the cover of most of the people in most of those shows, or most of the paintings in most of those shows. Partly because, first of all, if you're an artist, I don't want you to do this ever again. But secondly, if you're not an artist, I want to affirm, probably if you're a thinking person but you're not an artist, you go to these shows, one of the things you have thought is, so I'm saying 75% of paintings done in America by serious amateurs are impressionistic. And some of you who are not artists, you've thought to yourself, maybe many times over the years, you thought, you know what? I think a lot of these people, they're doing impressionistic paintings because they're not good enough to do realism. And what I'm about to say is not very nice. Certainly not in keeping with the prevailing art, culture, or establishment. But I'm going to tell you, I think you are exactly correct. Now, let's back up a little bit, because I'm coming down awfully hard on an awful lot of really nice people. Let's back up. Even some of you who are watching me, that I probably just described you. Let's back up. I need to go to bottom lines, because again, this is coming off really heavy. And I don't apologize for that, because I'm trying to make more gooder painters in the world. Okay. Bad grammar on purpose. If you are doing artwork, and if you're not making your living from it, that means you're a lover, amateur, from the Latin, to love what you're doing. And that is absolutely perfectly good and noble and everything. There's nothing wrong with that. That is very good. To that end, if you have a good time painting, which I hope you do, then I want to tell you that is good enough. That is good enough. What the world could use, what the world needs now, is love, sweet love. No, what the world needs now is, it wouldn't hurt for there to be more people pursuing excellence, enjoying, creating something, working hard, struggling, pressing themselves to higher levels of achievement. But all of that is good enough. Are you with me? So I'm kind of backing off my heavy statement that I was making just a minute ago, but then I'm going to go back to it. If you're having fun making art, that is good enough. Don't let me or anybody else take that away from you. Good enough. If you're having fun golfing and it's not your profession, have fun, have at it. Doesn't matter how bad you are, how good your handicap is. If you're having fun, that's good enough. Now, if you're trying to make a living at it, that's quite a different story, right? If you're doing photography to entertain yourself, then by all means, I certainly hope you are entertained and you're having fun. If you're painting just to have fun, then just have fun. So, and you don't have to pay too much attention to what I'm saying. But the reason so many people do impressionistic stuff is, yes, in fact, because frankly, as many of you have already suspected, they actually lack the chops, to use that, to use a musical slang. They lack the chops to do realism. Now, I'm really talking to young artists here, because old artists, you know, we're just having, well, you're just having fun. I'm trying to make a living here. So it's important that I'm trying really hard to do a good job, because my living depends on it. Boy, that's a lot of hard pencil, isn't it? So what I'm saying is, if you want to be a good painter, don't hide behind the flimsy excuse of impressionism. Do not do paintings and do them messy. It's like shooting an arrow And wherever the arrow lands, you go up and draw circles around it and say, yeah, see, it's a bullseye. That is not, okay? So I'm kind of, in a way, being mean, because that's what a significant part of the art hobby population does. And if you're having fun doing that, then by all means ignore everything I'm saying. But if you want to get better, then you need to not shoot an arrow and draw a target. You need to learn to do realism. Now, what does that have to do with this conversation came up because, in fact, I'm working, as you can tell, I mean, you missed a little bit there. I'm working quite intensely at drawing accurate or believable characters. Summary statement: messy or impressionistic or loose does not equal, and I'm preaching this to myself, believe me, this little sermonette that I'm giving here is about me. Messy, loose, or impressionistic does not equal inaccurate, or the other way around too. Inaccurate is not loose. Whew. I'm a little bit afraid that I'm freaking some of you out because I'm setting up a standard. Okay, I'm just talking to people that want to be serious about their art. Stop using impressionism as a cover-up for inaccuracy. And am I happy with these figures? No, not completely. Yep. Will I be happy? Yeah, I hope so. I think so. There's a decent chance that I will be by the time I'm done. They all need a lot of work. I just spent quite a bit of time, as you can see, as you saw, spent quite a bit of time drawing them rather fastidiously, definitely with dark lines. I mean, this paint, and by the way, my cars have the same issue. In fact, and I used to do this way too much. I've been doing cityscapes more than anything else for the last 15 years, and I allowed way too often. I allowed impressionistic looseness to cover up poorly drawn cars. So for that reason, like I'm doing right now, for that reason, I've made it a concerted effort to study and draw and paint accurate cars. Does that make sense? So man, I am right in there with you. I'm not in the least exempt from this struggle. Not at all. I'm being very autobiographical. Do not use impressionistic looseness and so on and so on as a cover-up for sloppiness. Now, some of you thought, well, I thought looseness was being inaccurate. No. So I can't do it right now, but let me just describe this. So I'm going to paint these people. They're going to have several more layers in them, and I'm going to try to paint them realistically. Now, you know, I don't mean by that tiny little brush, stick up my tongue and do tongue painting. No. But accurate, yes, accurate. At the end of that, after all these lines and some dark paint lines and some light lines and some light color and so on and so forth, it's likely that many of these people these figures will be noticeably too tight, right? So here's a good trick. After over-painting them, after overdrawing, over-rendering, which I'm well on my way to doing, and by the way, most of this pencil will be covered up in subsequent layers, I'm going to mess them up. I will actually pick up a rag, put my fingers in it, and just make big marks. And then I'll come back and touch up some of my smearing. So that's the difference between, but they'll still be accurately drawn. Does that make sense? Accurately drawn, but then with active brushstroke sort of on top of them. That's not the only way to do it, but it's one way to do it, and it certainly is a sort of like a cheater, easy way to accomplish what I'm talking about. Okay, now here's cars back in the distance. All right, while I'm at it then.
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Oh my goodness. I didn't even recognize you at first. Hi, Lee, good to see you. Very good. Thank you. Hi, Meg. I know who you are.
My painting, dear. Either that or I'm going to sign it. No, he still hasn't signed
Well,
it.
send me a text, please.
Thank you so many. I'm trying to send it.
Yeah, but it was years ago. Send me another one. Here, wait, let me give you a card. Not that you don't have my number, you do.
We do.
But this is a reminder. Put it on your bed table and say, I need to
want you
text
to
me.
sign it,
I know,
please.
I want to sign it for you. That's so funny. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you guys.
I'm loving the wedding.
Are you? Thank you, Meg.
Oh, yeah, that's
Appreciate it.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, while I've got pencils in my hand, in a way here, I'm kind of contradicting what I usually say when I'm drawing with pencils, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. Again, just in case there's any newcomers here. Okay, so the use. Let me make sure I've got my vanishing point in the right place here. Oh, good. My vanishing point is still visible. It's right there. I use the pencils for two things. One of which you just saw in spades. That is, I use the pencil for rendering, for drawing, for capturing. This is obvious, right? But, and here's the other thing. And I'm sort of, it looks like I'm not following my own off-stated principle, but I am. But I use the pencils even more so for texture. And this will become more and more apparent. And if you regulars, you know this is true, but it'll become even more apparent to you new followers, perhaps, as I proceed. I'll be doing a lot of stuff with the pencils, for instance, like that has nothing to do with similitude, realism, accuracy, or drawing. It just looks cool. But at the moment, let us be clear. I have my drawing hat on, and because there's an awful lot of stuff in this scene. There's a lot of stuff that isn't even drawn yet, and I had better get busy and get a whole lot of stuff accurate. So again, that would be good for you to hear. There is a lot of stuff in this painting that I want accurate. So what's that mean? I am not using the covering of impressionistic painting. This is clearly impressionistic, right? It's clearly not photorealistic by any stretch of anybody's imagination. But I still want to accurate. All right. I not only beat that horse to death, I beat half of you guys to death too. I do apologize for that. Any chats? Anybody telling me, shut up, would you? Sivdo, SVDO, crazy world where it's day, where I live it's night. Yeah, I know, it is crazy, isn't it? That's kind of fun. I love how, I do enjoy how the internet can bring us together around the globe. That is really fun. I'm using this brush, I think you understand this, to make sure that my linear perspective is accurate. There you go, accurate, right? There are many things in a painting that do not need to be accurate, that you can get away with impressionism, if you will. But two of the things you cannot get away with are perspective and people. They both start with the letter P. Is there anything else that starts with the letter P that you have to be right about? Perspective, people, and I'm being silly, sorry. This building that I'm drawing right now is one of the most famous buildings in downtown Raleigh. And I just realized that I have all these windows up here in completely the wrong spot. So I've just moved them into the right spot. And make sure my perspective's okay. It's the old Briggs Hardware Building, built in 1874, I think. At one point, it was the tallest. Let me point it to you. Let me point you at it just for fun, because it's worth it. And the lighting on it right now is really quite fetching. So hang on just a second. So there's the building. Come on, I hope my automatic exposure will lighten up a little bit. It's not as dark as all that. But isn't that lovely? And the light on it, by the way, is bouncing, is reflected off this glass building across the street. You see that? And the light is quite fetching. In fact, bear with me a moment. I am going to take another picture. I'll be using some of these figures actually for my for my painting, for the rendering. So this is about the time of day that I want to indicate in my painting. Alas, it turns out I have sunlight coming between two buildings down here and shining on the street. That is not happening. It doesn't look like it's going to. So at a different time of the year, I happen to know that actually happens, but evidently it's not this time of year. So that's all right. I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna paint what's real. I'm gonna paint what's a good painting. So I hope that tirade didn't freak you out, but did make sense to you. Again, don't hide behind impressionism, use it as a cover-up for accuracy. But of course, I still stand by my much broader and deeper topic. First half of life, you learn how to paint stuff, not life, first half of the art journey, I mean, your job is to learn how to paint stuff that looks like stuff. There's actually a website, quite a popular website out there that is the exact name of the website, painting stuff that looks like stuff. I think it's quite funny. Let me point you again just to show you in case you missed it, the sign that I'm painting is this one right here. It's the Boylan Pierce building. And last night I got into philosophy of art, modern art, and quite a bit, because I was talking about the architecture and this particular street that we're looking at. That sign that you're looking at with the old-fashioned lettering is in fact a brand new, in the last 10 years, it's a brand new replica of the original sign. That sign has not been there, since the 1930s. That's my guess. My guess is that's a 30s era sign. That has not been there since the 30s. It has been, it was ripped down, of course, and the building was quote unquote modernized somewhere between probably 1946 and 1976, which is what happened to most of the architecture, most main streets in America during that period when modernity, when we had a period of temporary insanity, in my not very humble opinion. And this is now not just my opinion. Most people, not art professors, I mean ordinary people, would completely agree with me that the desecration that was wreaked on our cities during the modern era is now largely, I don't know if reviled is a little too strong, but not appreciated, not valued. I talked last night about standing on Gertrude Stein's porch, where modernity was essentially hammered out. The tenets, the basic principles of modernity were hammered out in Gertrude Stein's living room in Paris, 1904 to 1914 or something like that. And across the street from her were a number of buildings, all the ones that escaped the axe, all the buildings that looked like classic 19th century Paris were occupied, and all the buildings that went through the desecration of modernity were for rent. Now, I'm sure that's not always the case. I'm sure those buildings are now rented, but I can't believe I didn't take a picture of it when I was there. This was about 10 years ago. It was sort of an art tour of Paris, art history tour, not an art tour, art history tour of Paris, among other things. So we were at Gertrude Stein's house, very much on purpose. All right, so everything you see me doing right now is, again, pretty intense drawing, right? In fact, way more than usual. Mostly because I really have to get these figures. They cannot look like, zombie apocalypse, nuclear, post-apocalyptic, deformed humans. Being silly, they have to look like real people. Whew! Yes, those pencils are cool. Barbara. All right. The next thing I'm going to do, let me think. Either I'm going to draw again with paint, or I'm going to do fuzz. The answer is I'm going to do fuzz. All right, so bear with me here for a minute while I set up my furniture, since I'm not sitting on this stool at the moment. And I want some more ginger ale. Try not to slurp in your ear. There, I don't think you heard any slurping. Okay, fuzz. The fuzz layer. Soft edges, translucent, glow, atmospheric perspective, local color. Okay, we start with the easy stuff. There's lots and lots and lots of yellow, gold, glowing in this scene. Pardon me a minute, I need to get out some orange. I've used it all up. Whoops, I really have used up the whole tube. Okay, that's the end of that. I have a trash bag hanging on the back of my easel and paper towel holder on the back of my easel. So I'm just trying to mix up just the right warm yellow that catches my eye. Fairly deep yellow orange. All right. So I'm trying to decide if I want this build. No, I don't. Okay, I'll come back to that because I literally can't decide. Do I want that? Okay, so what you're seeing now is soft edges, right? And again, some of you who are struggling to get loose, it would be appropriate for you at this moment to say, golly, I didn't know I could be that loose. Does that make sense? There are many times in life where you simply need to see somebody do something, and seeing them do it gives you the freedom, the liberty, the courage to do it yourself. I can think of a painting example several years ago, and I wish I could say this fixed me, but it didn't. But have we got sound going? Hang on, have I been talking all this time without sound? No, okay, no, we're good, okay. I was watching a famous, one of the absolute top American artist named C.W. Mundy, M-U-N-D-Y, C.W. Mundy, just watching him on YouTube. And the thing I noticed about his painting technique is that he would mix paint on his palette, and I think with his brushes, the way I do, not with a palette knife. And he would not very carefully mix his paints so that his brush, he doesn't paint with two hands. Poor him, he'd be better if he did. But his brush had unmixed paint on it. That is, it was like more than one. The paint on his brush was marbled, was mixed, was a swirl of colors, and he would proceed in the early stages of his painting to go ahead and paint with this swirly, unmixed colors on his brush. And I don't know about you, but that's nuts. And yet I've thought many times, you know what, when I become a better painter, I should paint. I will paint like that. I'll paint because it fits everything. All my objectives in painting would be met. I mean, would be aided by not having the paint on my brushes all one color. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, my point is, so I watched C.W. Mundy do that, and just simply watching him do it released me to some degree. I need more releasing, evidently, but it released me to some degree to do what he did. Because when I saw him do it, I went, oh, well, doggone. And it wasn't the knowing that he does it. No, it was the watching that made the difference. Can anybody say loose edges? Can anybody say loose painting? Can anybody say soft edges? Yeah, I know you can. I heard you. Here's a principle to keep in mind, for me to keep in mind, not just you. It's the old I think it's Yogi Berra baseball. Describe baseball. It ain't over till it's over. And by the way, that expression fits baseball in a way that it does not fit any other sport. But that's another story altogether. Let's not get into that. It's been anyway. Never mind. Anyway, that is my attitude toward painting too, and should be yours as well. You can't, in a sense, judge your painting at intermediate stages too harshly. I'll put it that way, because remember, it's not done. So there's several things that are happening on this canvas right now that are not done. One is the abstract streaks. Those aren't done. The other is all the hard, intense pencil, but we're not done. Third is some of the soft edges that I'm doing right now are, honestly, you admit it, I'll admit it, are a little bit too much. A little bit, I mean, you know, there are soft edges, and like, what is this stroke right here? This is supposed to be a light, and this is part of that light. So it's very possible that some of that, at least, will be pushed back a little bit in the subsequent stages and layers of this painting. All right, so that's what I mean by it ain't over till it's over. Painting's not done till it's done. Don't judge it as if it is done. You don't, and I'm saying this to myself because I need to hear myself say it, because I look at some of this stuff and get kind of nervous and go, ooh, that doesn't look very good. But that would be an improper response. Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't look great because it's not done. What you thinking?
You did
Hello.
a great job.
Thank you. These windows up here now have a fair amount of blue sky reflected in them. As do these windows. Yeah, and even a little bit way over here. This building right here is painted black, shiny black, which means at this time of night it's glossy black. So what is appearing is actually a pale blue reflection of the sky. Right? That makes sense? That principle of it ain't done till it's done particularly applies to this, the fuzz layer. It honestly took me quite a while to have the abandon, the courage to do what you see me doing now, to make the kind of mess that I'm clearly making right now. That did not come all at once. I began month after month after month of playing with it. I began to trust the process. The layer of hard edges, so this what I'm doing right now is extremely soft edge, right? Register, that makes sense? Hard edges are yet to come. And it's amazing. For the first year that I was doing this, I would continually be amazed that stuff that looked like it was just ridiculously too loose, too soft, absurdly too soft. When I came back in the final edit layer and added hard edges, all of a sudden, oh, it wasn't too soft at all. It just wasn't finished, right? So you don't judge it as if it's finished when it's not finished. It's not done till it's done, and until it's done, it's not done. That's, of course, people passing by right now. That I'm getting quite a few admiring, stares and people taking pictures, of course. And of course, they have no idea. They are looking at it the way it is now and accepting it the way it is now, which is fine. But of course, you and I know it's going to go through significant changes. R. Taylor, next painter of light. Yes, R. Taylor, back when Thomas Kincaid was alive. It was a lot more fun to, make wisecracks. But yeah, I describe myself. He called himself the painter of light. I call myself the painter of light and dark, both. Of course, absurd, because he was a painter of dark too. That's part of the reason he did so well at painting light, was because his darks were adequate. That's one of the secrets of Thomas Kincaid. He had adequate darks. But anyway, that's what I do. I do dark and light. All right, I'm going to do some. That's a little too dark. I'm going to paint the blue tops of these umbrellas. Now, it's very possible that this whole fuzz layer, there is no question that it is Dan Nelson compensating for Dan Nelson. Okay, there is no question that there are many good painters. I mentioned like C.W. Mundy a while ago. C.W. Mundy doesn't do as far as I know, a distinct and separate, like I do, fuzz layer, because he doesn't need to. Yes. Richard Schmid, the master of edge control, doesn't do a separate and distinct, but I do. Why? Because I need to. All right, continuing in fuzz, it's the fuzz layer is translucent. I mean, you can see through it, nothing opaque. It's translucent and very soft edged, and a particular emphasis on local color. That means believable, realistic. Roses are red, violets are blue color. Okay, and I remember. It's ironic. I remember the very day that I started the fuzz layer. It was the 4th of July. I was painting at a festival on this street, about 2 blocks to my right. And as always, I was doing a festival painting, so I had a bunch of people in my painting, right? And then it dawned on me, wait a minute, I should make their clothing colored. And for some reason, instead of sticking out my tongue and tongue painting clothing color, I began doing exactly what you see me doing here. Scribbling, soft edges, messy. It was just one of those moments. The angels sang, the birds came out, the sun came out, the rainbow appeared, whoa! It was a revelation. Which I think, by the way, that's how most real breakthroughs in painting happen. You can take classes, you can learn stuff from people, but the best stuff happens as a gift from beyond. I'm being kind of goofy, but it comes to you accidentally. So right then, I'm doing some flesh tone, some brownish stuff. Realized they were all too much the same color, brown, so bringing in some more variety here. So you see, by the way, what's happening to some of this pencil that many of you, as I was almost, were worried about, man, there's so much pencil, it's like a drawing on top of your, and I said, don't worry about it. Just for that little bit of flesh tone fuzz, a lot of the pencil is being subsumed already, and that will continue. It's very likely that before the painting is finished, I will come back with even more pencil on some of this, because much of the pencil will be lost in the subsequent layers. I'm going to leave the people for a minute. Let's mix up some cooler and brighter yellow to go on top of some of the yellow I did a little while ago. So these are like highlights or brighter lights. More white here. Row. One monitor is dead. I hope this one's not. Forgive me for a moment. Okay, hopefully we're okay. Whew. I want to come down here and do a little bit more punctiliar light. Light, a reflection shining, reflecting off the sidewalk, reflecting from those lights, right? There we go. Starting to look like a cafe with fun light happening, isn't it? Just starting to appear. The front. Now I'm all from now on. Any. If I want to look at anything, I really can't look down to my left anymore. You can see what's going on there. Let me turn you there just maybe one last time. There, more or less, that's the scene that I'm doing. But last night when I started the painting, there were these big, lovely blue umbrellas. And they took them all down today, so I'm having to just remember or go from my photographs that are on my All right, back to the people now. Over the years, I've done many paintings with many people in them because I have painted at, painting at festivals. In fact, I have a website called festivalpainter.com, which most of you have probably never seen unless you've seen the link at danelsonart.com. Now we have hundreds of paintings with hundreds of people in them, thousands of people in them. So I've gotten fairly, I don't know, adept, maybe. That might be putting it too strongly. At least I charge in where angels fear to tread, that's for sure, of painting crowds of people, not unlike what we're looking at here. And I have a little trick. I'm not sure it's a good one, but yeah, I've been with it for a while. I've just mixed up some red and I almost always pick one woman to wear red. And that's just a purely, I think, just a purely compositional issue. I know that our eyes are drawn to red more than any other color, so I want to place my reds pretty carefully. After that, I'm just going to mix color on these brushes, and I go around the color wheel. Either red, go orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, or the other way, red, purple, blue, green, orange, yellow, orange, and that's the way I'm going. So I went from red to purple. So next is blue. Oh my goodness, you guys! I messed up in my administration last night, evidently. I hope you won't notice, but I'm about to lose my ear monitor. So I went home with, I thought, two ear monitors fully charged up, and it turns out now they're telling me I've got a British lady whispering in my ear. Low battery, please recharge. Low battery, please charge. So I'll have a little bit of a late monitor on my iPad, so I can. It's not as good as you being in my ear. All right. So that was. I've done. Now I will be doing, just in case you're wondering why am I messing up, layers and layers and layers of color on these figures. All right. I've just done first layer of red, purple, blue. So next is green. You understand I'm going around the color wheel. Not that many people wear green clothing, to tell you the truth. So I'll be, pretty stingy with the green. And now yellow. Not that many people wear yellow clothing, except on special occasions. Here comes a man as we speak wearing a yellow tank top. See if you can see him. It was a little bit too dark. He just went by. That's funny. I was just saying not very many people wear yellow, and then I look up and here comes a young man with a yellow tank top. I've run out of Indian yellow out here on my palette, so. Yeah, I'm done with the green, so I'm going yellow now. Again, not many people wear yellow. I'm going to keep it kind of a dull yellow, ochreish yellow. Yeah. One of the things I do, which you see me doing, perhaps, I'll catch me already, is I've already put colored clothing on these people, and yet I'm coming back and doing a second color already. That will continue at a pace. That will continue doing layers and layers and layers. Now, everything I'm doing right now is still in the fuzz technique, fuzz layer. I'm hoping you can see that. Now they've got orange. I'm going to come back and do a little bit more flesh tone here and there. Maybe a few people wearing shorts. I didn't pay much attention to legs last time I came through. And this is, after all, a summer evening scene, so some flesh tone down there is appropriate. The face of that building up there could be considerably lighter than it is. So let's fix that real quick. Not that light. That is a little bit much. So let's paint with a paper towel. A little bit more paper towel painting. All right. Well, no, hang on. Let's light up let's do a little bit of fuzz on the Boylan Pierce sign. So I just wiped out all those letters. You can't even read them anymore. That's all right. It's really pretty out here. Not at all like my painting, but it is very pretty. Dusk. Let me turn you that direction just for fun. It's not very nice of me to say it's pretty out here and then not let you see it. And I don't know what that looks like on your monitor, but that's lovely.
That's a nice painting there, young man.
Thank you, sir.
I got that done too. How y'all be doing?
Am I done with the fuzz? Oh, no, I'm not. I mean, I could do this later, but no, let's do it right now. The taillights. Yes. Taillights over here. Cars going away from us. There, that's probably good enough. Whew. Time flies when you're having fun. It's already nearly 8:30. All right, time to change gears. So that's officially, I'm going to declare the end of the fuzz layer. Maybe, hang on, I just saw one more thing. Pay no attention to this guy who keeps making proclamations. No, I'm not done with the fuzz layer. The bottom side, did the tops of the umbrellas, but I didn't do the bottom sides. And again, they have light coming through them, so the blue underneath is much more intense than the blue on top. The blue on top is reflected light, right, from the sky and so on. The blue underneath is, what's the word I'm looking for? Infused through light. It's not at all the word I'm looking for, forgive me. All right, there we go, but it needs to be a little bit bluer. All right, now I think I'm done. So where do I go next? That's easy. I am going to do my final dark details. Quote unquote final. That doesn't mean I can't cheat later. I can, but this is officially coming up. So I'm going to paint. Now you all know this, don't you? If you want some part of your painting to be darker, you achieve that like a watercolor painter. You achieve that with transparent paint. Darks are transparent. That's a huge principle in my world, and it ought to be a huge principle in yours. I cannot tell you how many paintings get put in front of me, either when I'm judging a show, or when I'm looking at a show, or when I'm at my painters group, and the poor, misguided painter doesn't have this principle firmly in hand, and so passages of their painting appear muddy, chalky, peculiarly unsatisfactory. There's something wrong. Well, what is wrong is there was some part of their painting, doesn't matter where it is, some part of their canvas, they wanted it to be a little bit darker. And they achieved that darkness using opaque paint. Now let me give you, if I want to be inflammatory, I would say it this way. They made their painting darker using white paint, because white is what typically makes our paints opaque. But how could anybody do something so stupid? Let me explain it to you. And then you go, oh, that's not that stupid. So let's say I want this area in here, for instance. Whoops, sorry. Okay, I didn't I wasn't doing anything too important. Sorry about that. While you guys weren't looking, you didn't miss much. I was cleaning off my palette, honestly. I thank Blank Canvas Painter. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Let's say you want some part of this painting to be darker, but here's the way the student thinks. But I don't want it black, for goodness sake. I just want it a little teensy weensy bit darker. So I'll mix up a color here and put some white in it so that it's only a little darker. That's conventional thinking. And again, in my strong opinion, conventional, misguided thinking. No, if you want some part of your painting to be a little bit darker, some part of your canvas to be slightly darker, you leave the white paint alone. Having said that, I'm going to put some white paint on my palette. Instead, you act like a watercolorist. How does a watercolorist get some part of their painting dark? Well, they certainly don't pick up everything in watercolor is transparent, so that's how you behave. You with your medium, whether it's linseed oil or liquid, you use medium to make your dark paint slightly dark. Okay, so that is what you're going to see me do here for the next several minutes. I'm trying to decide where to start. I don't like this. This looks like an old school teacher here in the middle. So I need to fix that. Bear with me a moment while I think. Yeah, okay, I am going to start way back here in the background, right where I was pointing to as example. So I'm going to adjust my camera so that you can actually see my palette. So here's my liquid. It ran that way one time when I opened the lid. But I'm just getting my brushes saturated with liquid, and then I'm picking up some ultramarine blue and some oxide red, but more blue than red. Okay, and I want back here, whoops, more liquid, that's too dark. I want really just a bunch of stuff. Here's a lamp post. See, the lamp is up here. But I don't want it, as I quoted my mythical student a while ago, I don't want it black, for goodness sake. So instead of adding white to my paint in order to make it not black, I added more medium liquid to my paint to make it not too dark. So acting like a watercolorist. Does that make sense? Except instead of using water, I'm using liquid. And I don't want much back here, but just a hint of cars going up the street. And again, that will get several more layers of treatment. But right now, this is the time for some dark details. I mentioned yesterday again that the essence of good painting is making interesting marks. A corollary to that is you don't need to settle for whatever mark your brush happened to make. You don't have to settle for that. You can. This is the glory of oil paints, that you can't do quite as much. You have to do it so fast in acrylics that you miss a lot of stuff. The beauty of oil paints is that you have many minutes, if not an hour or more, to rub, to smear, to make a mess with the stroke that you put down. You can scratch it, you can rub it with a finger, with a rag, with a brush handle, with a dry brush, and so on and so forth. Many different options. See, just some of those little, let me zoom in for just a minute. That's what I'm famous about doing, is what I did just a little while ago, forgetting that I zoomed you in. Just a little bit of hard edge in there to give the impression of distant cars, parked and driving. Make sense? All right. Yeah, I didn't forget to zoom you back out. All right, let's take care of this old school marm here in the middle that I don't like at all. So I'm gonna, there's a hint of a head here. I'm gonna change it to a man leaning that way and a woman in front of him leaning and maybe facing away from us still. And I think it was largely the dress. Let me switch back into light for just a minute so I can take that dress off. That's what is really bothering me. And I don't like that leg sticking way out there either. I don't like this leg sticking out there either. Ooh, by the way, what I just ended up with right there accidentally was some misplaced opacity. Not to worry, I'm going to try to cover it up. There we go. That's much better. I don't know what it is yet, but it's much better. I think. All right, I'm going to mix up again. Transparent, dark. I'm going to mix up a dark, dirty purple, so that it has a little bit of color in it. And where a lot of this pencil stuff is, that of course is way too pencily, way too intense. I'm now going to cover up much of the pencil with paint. So once again, as I was saying earlier, don't judge the pencil or anything too harshly before it's time, because it's not done yet. So now a lot of that over-exaggerated pencil stuff is being, and someone might say, and I think some non-artist perhaps might say, well, if you were just going to wipe it off, why did you put it on in the first place? All right? If you're just going to then obfuscate, diminish, push back the pencil, why'd you put it on in the first place? Of course, every artist would roll his eyes at that question, because you intuitively, no, the pencil was there to help me get stuff in the right place. Now that it's helped me get stuff in the right place, I can subsume it, is one of the words I've been using here. I can push it back, and it works just fine. Am I right in your way? Almost. This lady over here, she looks too large. We've talked about that quite a bit here. You do not want realistic figures in your paintings. 50% of Americans or more are overweight. I don't know what the number is. You can Google it. You do not want to reflect that reality in your paintings. No, you do not. Because if you make your paintings real, your figures realistic, that is chubby, they will look like specific people. It'll look like, who's that supposed to be? And of course, as you know, none of these people are supposed to be anybody. They're just mannequins. And that's why when you go to the mall, or look online, all the mannequins and all the clothing stores are number size 0 or size 1. Now, body shaming and all that other junk, that is a real issue. I have daughters and granddaughters. It's a real issue, but it is not this one. That is a different issue from what an artist, painter has to do. It relates to photography, oh, you bet. But it does not relate to a painter. Because as painters, we are not painting nonfiction. Let me use an analogy. We are not writing nonfiction. We are writing fiction. And everybody knows that when you see a painting, especially an impressionistic one like this. Now, if it were hyper-realistic, that might be a slightly different story. Anyway. Oh, I gotta look over there, and I can't see anything. Is anybody getting tired? Is it just me? All right. Now let's come over here and do some dark stuff in these cars so they start to look a little bit more like real cars. Okay, I'm far from finished.
That looks like it's happening now or about to happen.
Pardon?
I said that looks like it's about to happen or about to happen. What is that?
It's this right here. You mean
Oh.
you mean what is a painting of?
Yeah. The white is up above the blue.
Up above the canopies?
Uh-huh.
That's that light and that light. Oh, one of them's burned out. Last night when
Well, it looks like horses or something.
Oh yeah, nope. That's just messiness. But I like your shirt. Let me catch up on some of your chats here. Yeah, Q Jeopardy. Might have it. Hey Mark, yeah, late night. That was you, Foxhole Willie. That was you. Hey Karen, good. Getting there. I used to paint faster than this, but I didn't paint as well. I'm going to declare myself finished with the dark details layer. So I'm ready to launch into final edit. So at this point, the last 2 layers have been very loose, both the light and the dark. Now's the time for some edges. And I hope not too much edges. I'm wrong, hang on. I just realized I need to touch this tree up here. It needs to be even darker. Again, oh, and the flag there needs some darkening as well. So hang on there. And I need to do the flag too, so sorry about that. And same thing over here. Okay, just some hints of color to start with. Hints of color on the flag. Very dirty red, good enough. And then a very dirty blue, not quite as dirty. All right, so that's the first layer of the flag, okay? All right, final edit layer. Typically, there are three places to start. The lightest area, or the focal point, or I forget. That's funny. It'll come back to me in a minute. Oh, the farthest area, that's right. The far away, which is traditional, or the lightest area, which here is going to be either these windows or in here, or the focal point, which is right in here. Let me think about that for a minute. A little bit unusual. I'm going to start with the people. So, final edit layer. I'll try to move you guys so you can see a little bit better, and then hope I remember to move you later. I think I will, because I've just physically moved you, so you're kind of in my way. Zoom in just a little bit more. All right, so this is more or less hard edges, right? More or less. Back of the neck, the nape of the neck, side of the face. A bare leg and a bare calf. This is a woman in a short dress. There's probably a name for that I don't remember. Facing away from us. Here's a man. For me, and boy, I made this mistake more than once back in the day. For me, the boundary line for figures, for abstracted figures like this, is features. I draw the line, so to speak, at features. I do not, and I've tried it, the most I will usually get to, whoops, that's way too much, is doing a line like that across where the eyes would be. But many times, just like that, I'll let that. And I'm going to draw right here, because I'm afraid that when I come back, I will forget that I'm seeing that right there as a hand holding a drink. So bear with me for just a minute, because as I said, I'm afraid I'll forget that later. Now, I could make it a wine glass drink, which would be neat, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to make it just a paper or plastic cup. All right, that's enough. I can touch that up later. And then this person's arm. So I'm very much thinking anatomy at this point. I'm using what are, for me, much used shorthand tricks for rendering anatomy. And I was talking about this last night for quite a while. I don't think I did a good job. Let me try to clarify. I'm beginning to think that one of the differences between a pretty good artist like myself and a really, really good artist can be boiled down to this one phenomenon. All of us as artists, we develop little shorthand tricks for everything, eventually. Certainly, if there are any figures that appear in your painting, then you and I, we both develop little shorthand, I hate to say it, kind of like Bob Ross-ish tricks for capturing anatomy, figure. Quickly and loosely. The greatest painters among us, Rembrandt, at the top of this list, have developed through study, mostly through study of anatomy, they have developed these shorthand tricks and have a repertoire of tricks that are phenomenal, that are effective. I talked last night about, I remember looking at a friend's cartoon 25 years ago, and I didn't care too much for the way the shorthand trick he used for rendering a shirt collar. If I had challenged him on it, he could have said, or could easily have said, "Oh, I do that all the time," because it was obvious to me, as I said, that it was something he did, quote unquote, all the time, that he did frequently, many times. But the fact was, it was not a particularly effective shorthand trick. And I think, as I'm trying to become a better and better artist, like some of the masters that I revere, chase, drool after, adulate, and envy, I am trying to not just learn how they do it, more trying to improve my own. So everything I just showed you right there, all those little bits of flesh tone, this is a woman's elbow from behind. This right here is classic Dan Nelson. Let me zoom in for a minute. There's no question in my mind that is shorthand. This is back of thigh, back of knee, back of calf, back of other thigh. And it's fairly effective, I think. It was very shorthand, very quick. Obviously, quickly rendered, loosely. And the question is, yeah, but does it look like what I just told you it is? Yeah, I think it does. But does that mean I can't imagine that some other artist who's better than I has a better way of doing that? Absolutely, I do. I know there is somewhere. And I want to pay attention to those artists. I want to try to notice when they're outdoing me in that regard. I want to pay attention, and I want to either learn their tricks, or they actually more likely send me back to the drawing board where I try to improve, say, ladies' bare legs from behind. She doesn't even have a shoe at the moment. She probably will not have a shoe. All right, so there's something to that. And most of those shorthand tricks the better artists are better because they have studied more, because they've done more figurative drawings, and so on. They wouldn't be content with this. They would want to push it, but it still needs to be quick and loose. I don't mean they get a little brush and start rendering. No. I'm talking about shorthand, quick, single stroke stuff. And again, this canvas right now is full of that stuff. All right, I am going to move you back where you belong, because I need to sit down because my feet are getting tired. Thank you very much. I am a little bit disappointed in my bidding war, which is not happening tonight. So if anybody wants to bid more than $500, please do so. All right, I'm going to sit down. Your brain can only handle as much as your legs can stand. That is very true. You young people don't know what we're talking about. Trust me, you will. I lost my, what's it called? There's a name for it, and I forget now what it is, but it's a mat that that cashiers, I hope all cashiers stand on them at the grocery store. Energy saver mat or something, I forget what it's called. But anyway, I've had a couple and am momentarily bereft of my latest one. So I'm standing on two throw rugs, you know, like mats, all-weather mats, but they're not quite doing the job. So I just convinced myself.
Saturday night in Raleigh.
Yes, right here. I started it last night, and they had umbrellas up, and I was quite dismayed to come back tonight and see that they took the umbrellas down. Like, wait, no, put them back up. But yes, indeed. Okay, so what I decided to do next, I decided to hang in there with the figurative area of the painting. My mortgage. That's all. This is my job. I love my job, but if this wasn't my job, I'd be at home with my feet propped up practicing a musical instrument for fun. But I'm not, because I got to pay a mortgage. So I'm hoping somebody will buy this painting. Right now it has a measly bid of $500. I will not sell it for $500. But if nobody comes along, then I'll take it home with me and add it to all my other paintings. In a gallery, this size is $24.50. I just, if you're lucky enough to catch me on the street, you can get a super bargain. So that's what I do. But inspiration has nothing to do with it. I know I know a lot. I don't know everything, of course. I know a lot of what makes for visual beauty. And so those are the principles that are guiding me. That's, if you will, the inspiration is, it's know-how. I know what looks good. Again, not perfectly. I'm still, of course, striving very much. But I have a pretty good idea of, what tickles the human funny bone, eye bone. And that's what I'm doing as we speak.
I paint scenery myself, so.
You're what?
I paint scenery myself.
Do you really?
Mainly it's just like whatever pops into my head.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Just for fun? Mm-hmm. Like landscape? You mean nature? Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Good for you. What's your name?
I'm Chris.
Hi, Chris. I'm Dan. Good to meet you. Do you live here in Raleigh?
Actually, no. I'm down in Fayetteville.
Oh, okay. Are you Army?
Yeah.
By any chance? Well, welcome. Thank you. Yeah. Paratroopers?
Nah.
No. Whew. Good, because you're standing up with your back in one piece, and we'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, bless you. Thank you for serving. And thanks for honoring us with your visit on a Saturday night.
This is my typical scenery that I kind of do.
Oh, cool. Yeah, playful, impressionistic, expressive. I like this saguaro cactus. You get a lot of trouble if you pick those in Arizona.
Oh yeah. I was actually thinking of Arizona when I painted it.
Uh-huh.
Because I spent an entire 2 weeks in Arizona.
Did you?
Yeah.
In the military or
Oh no, before military.
Yeah, yeah.
I went on a mission trip with some.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Very
we were
cool.
down in Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Good for you. Well, thank you for your service there, too. Very cool. Very cool. Chris with a K?
Yep.
How about that? Yeah, in fact, I just sat down a minute ago because my complained that my legs are just getting tired. Sorry, you hear my echo there. That's my monitor. So I usually have an in-ear monitor, but my battery just died. That's to. Yeah, I'm broadcasting on YouTube. Yeah.
You're on YouTube, right?
Yeah. I love it. They love it. I like it when people come up and chat because all my followers, all 16 of them right now, say, hello, man. I'm good. Which restaurant are you in?
I'm in NC State.
Oh, you were where you working tonight?
Yeah, I'm nothing local tonight.
Oh, good.
I got a real job.
Do you have a job tonight? You do catering?
No, it's an inside joke. Like
Gotcha.
any privatized business at
Gotcha.
this point is very cutthroat.
Yes,
You're not
yes.
tied to the university.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, my son is food service at Northern Arizona University. He was at Campbell. He's been all over the place, but yeah, something.
I grew up not
He's
far
not a
from
chef. Are you a chef?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not a chef, but he's over the dining rooms and, man, he works his butt off. I think you all do.
I really like your work here, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
To the naked eye, it might seem like that typical run-of-the-mill, like in the kitchen, filling in for the Paris bullshit. But I'm seeing a lot of.
Thank you.
I see a lot of scratchy edgings to this.
Thank you.
Got some character to it.
That's a good word. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Cheap compliment, I guess. I don't
That
know.
is a good compliment. Thank you. I appreciate it. No, that's a good
I
one.
do
Thank
that a
you.
lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've been standing up most of the time, but just decided a few minutes ago. I'm time for a sit down.
Pick two.
Yeah. Well, last night
Yeah.
the umbrellas were up when I started.
The girl who did the mural here on the back of Salisbury. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Is it Dare?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's a friend of mine.
Yeah, I just happened to be finishing up. I was a supervisor here at the Rise, so every day I'd come out and see her work every day when I would get off work.
Oh, no
Until
kidding.
so I didn't miss a day, man. Every day I had to see
Oh, that's
what layer
fun.
she added.
Yeah, she's a deer.
And finally, when she finished, she was like, you're so cool to come out here and check me out every day. So she actually had the keys to Boyle and Pierce, and she took us upstairs, and they've still got the old school 50s and 60s closets.
Do they really up here?
Yeah, oh yeah, man. They've
That's
got,
the way it used to be. I used to do the same thing in this building.
Yeah. But yeah, you go up there, man. It's they got that walk-in, the old school 60s rotary closets for women.
So it hasn't been fixed up.
No, it's totally
Yeah,
just smell
somebody
the
moved up.
age.
Yeah, somebody
No
moved up in the
one's-
50s.
Oh my God,
That's
it's
exactly the way
amazing.
this building was.
Yeah.
15 years ago, and I had a key to the building, and same thing. It was like a time
It's
capsule.
crazy. It's great to see. Don't get me wrong. For the things that need to change for regression or whatever, take it or leave it, depending on the situation. But it's I used to go to Mecca Diner all the time.
Yes,
and,
yes, yeah.
It's nuts to
Yeah.
go in there and just going upstairs to the bathroom and they've got an old
Yeah,
slide
that's
shot
right,
of
that's
Raleigh,
right,
and you
that's
look
right.
at it and you go, man,
That's
it's changed so
yes,
drastically over time.
it's exactly. Well,
I'm native. I grew up in a small town not far from here.
Did you? Okay. Well, so do you remember, this was turned back into a street
yeah.
14 years ago,
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah, I
that,
remember
and it was
when- I
terrible.
remember when they
And all the decorations on the front of these three buildings was all put back.
Yeah.
It was all scraped off for modern, and then so that's actually high density styrofoam.
Right.
But they went back into all the historical photographs and tried to match it as close as they could. So these three beautiful buildings now are retro.
Right. They're trying to
So
bring
they
that
spent
this-
way more money to retro them than they when they first built them, you know.
Yeah, appreciate them for trying. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Me
great.
too.
You know, it's,
Me too. But that's kind of what you're talking about, is you appreciate the beauty of the old classic stuff, right?
yeah,
Me too. Me too.
little by little, I'm seeing it. You know, talking to these younger kids, like more and more, I'm finding more of them that, like, yeah, they don't. They want more out of life than having their face on a phone.
Yes.
And they, in their own way, like it's crazy. Like even here, I mean, think about it. Like there's all these bars, there's all these breweries,
Yeah,
there's all
yeah.
these bistros, and where does everyone end up concentrating into? Hoglands, you know, right? Retro, where it's like they
Yeah.
want to see the things that like have passed because. And yeah, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of it's just nostalgia and it's a gimmick or whatever, but it's like.
Yep. But there's something to it. There's something to it. I agree.
It used
There
to be a
is.
thing where it's like you had to go find someone
Yeah.
instead of just like looking them up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's fun. Good job. Good call. I agree completely.
Very nice work, though.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are you local?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm Robbie, by the way. What's your name?
I'm
buddy?
Dan. Good to
Dan.
meet you.
Nice
Good to
to
meet
meet
you,
you.
Robbie.
You,
Yeah,
you
very
been here
good.
a bit this summer?
You know, I used to do this, like for the last 15 years, I've done this a lot, but for the last year, I haven't. But I think I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm enjoying being out. This is like my old stomping grounds,
Yeah.
and I'm enjoying
Nice.
so much being out here that I'm gonna
It's rare.
start doing it some more. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rare to run into people that are like native and.
Yeah.
I remember when like Kildare Farm was a dirt road. Like I'm right on the cusp of that. Like, that's a little bit before my time, but not by much. So it's yeah.
I'm not from here, but I've been here 30 years, so
Oh, okay.
almost as long as you.
Close
Right,
enough.
right?
Close enough,
Am I
close
right?
enough. Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Where are you
yeah.
originally from?
Michigan mostly.
Okay. What part?
So I'm the West Coast, from Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Traverse City, Petoskey.
Okay, I was about to get. I was going to try and guess.
The pretty part of Michigan, the beautiful part. Yeah. So are you familiar with that area somewhat?
Yeah. Well, my drummer that I've been working with for like half my life, he's from Battle Creek originally.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a
It's-
pretty nice town.
His family had to move after Kellogg's did their thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, yeah.
I like your artwork, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate that.
I want to paint like that one day.
Oh, good.
My sister's a good painter.
Really? So are you better than her though?
No,
Are you gonna be better than her?
me.
Maybe. There you go.
But right
There's
now,
this-
not a champ.
No. Well, how old is she?
She's 23.
Oh, okay. Well, she's got a little bit of a head start on you, right? Good for you.
Nice work, Dan.
Thank
Gotta
you.
Come out more often. Buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good to see some real art out.
Yeah, good to meet you. What is your name?
Milan.
What is it?
Milan.
Milan? Oh, what a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Have you ever been to Milan? Do you know where the main Milan is?
Italy.
Yeah, exactly. Good
My
job.
dad wants to go there.
Yeah, I bet.
Be awesome.
I'd like to go there too. I've never been there either.
People will love your art.
What a beautiful name. That is really sweet. Are you from Raleigh? Are you born here?
I was born here, but my parents were born somewhere in the river.
Yeah.
So,
In another country or another state?
my dad grew up here, but in a different state.
Very cool. Is Milan yours?
Yes.
She's a deer. I knew there was a parent right nearby somewhere. And thanks for coming up and talking to me, Milan. And you're welcome to hang out as long as you want.
Don't you have any pictures of Rita?
Haha.
I talked to you a little bit, Brian.
Now, did she just do it for fun, or did she study it or anything like that?
For fun. Just
For
Yeah.
fun and sometimes on his birthday.
she just moved to California to model.
Oh my goodness. To model what? Really herself?
Yeah, she's
So-
modeling now.
Oh my goodness. So she must be pretty.
Take a chance. While she's still young. She's only
Yeah.
23, so I told her
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
chance.
Yeah, yeah.
She's got a degree, so she said, give me a year or two, and then not, and I'll go back and get my master's.
Oh my goodness. Well, good for you. You raised some.
Big agreement.
You raised some hardworking girls. Sounds like. Milan, what grade are you in? Are you on summer vacation?
No, I'm going to school on Monday. I'm in fourth
Are,
grade.
are you year round? Yeah. And have you just finished the track out? Just finished the track out? Our kids did way back in the 90s when year round was just starting. At first I thought, no. But then they did it. We had 4 kids. We loved it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
We were disappointed when they hit high school and had to go back to regular schedule. Yeah. Good for you. 4th grade.
School, 5th graders go to DC,
Do they take a big trip to DC? All right. Which school do you go to?
Durant Road Elementary.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's where my daughters went. They were there the very first year that it opened. Isn't that something? Yeah.
Lovely work. Lovely work.
Thank you. Huh. All right, you guys. Anybody still watching me? Yeah, somebody is. Bless you. I have a good time talking to people, as you can tell, and I have a good time talking to you guys too. So I'm fairly happy with the way this is developing. You can see now, really, probably too much, but a lot of hard edges in here, and again, probably too much. I'm probably going to come in here and just plain old-fashioned soften. I will tell you that like this kind of stained glass window feeling, for some reason, I love that. My eye just loves that degree of abstraction. But I have learned the hard way that most people do not find it as attractive as I do. So I just soften it a little bit. I'll be doing more. You know, I can scratch also. Pardon?
If we sent this picture of my sister, she would have loved it.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to take a picture of it. Feel free. Okay, so this girl, you see, was wearing green. Now I'm coming back with a brighter green and harder edges. And that might be enough right there. Here, let's talk about crazy abstract marks just for a minute. So you can see this green mark, this green swoosh right here was made with a green oil stick, right? And it's being covered up little by little by little, and will be covered up yet some more, but it won't be completely covered up. And here and there along this arc, there'll be little hints of that really intense green peeking through. And it's hard to describe why does that look good. Do we have sound happening? Yeah, we do. Okay. But it does look good. It's really hard to describe. Why on earth? And I told you a while ago, I said, it's very likely that I'll actually be coming back and redoing some pencil, which is pretty amazing because, you know, an hour ago, this was just so way over the top, too much pencil. But here it is. It's not only not over the top, it's actually not quite adequate, not enough pencil. So isn't that funny? And that process back and forth will continue yet for a while. Now here's something that I like quite a bit. It just dawned on me that this right here is this person's other arm and hand. Just dawned on me. I didn't see that at all earlier. And that's the way I like to paint. Really, everything. I like to paint, make a mess, so to speak, make an abstract mark, and then allow the abstract mark to suggest things to you. So that's again, you can call that's an out of control technique of painting. I didn't make that happen. I allowed it to happen. I recognized it. I saw the potential and said, ooh, look at that, looks like a hand. All right, let me back out so I don't forget to do that later. Whew, sit down some more. Same thing, this blue streak down here, which will probably be diminished just a little bit, but not much, not much. Bears no direct correlation to realism. You understand? Now, it's a real delicate balance, because if the viewer feels like it's a mistake, then that will irritate them. So one of the things I typically do is, like over here, I painted this dirty purple up to the blue line on above and below, here. So I intentionally protected, if you will, that abstract blue mark, and that I think subconsciously, now I don't expect any viewer to process like any of this unless they are themselves an artist. And even then, only maybe if they know my artwork. I don't expect anybody to process this consciously and say, if you'll notice, he painted purple up to the blue line. It's no. But I know the effect that the marks should have on the non-artistic viewer. All right, I'm going to leave the people for a while because I've been working on it too long. Time to bust out and go somewhere else. So I think I'm trying to mix up kind of a dirty, warm gray. And let's look at these cars. These cars need a lot of work, really. Okay, that might be enough for a car there. I don't want too much of this color, whatever color it is, but just a little bit more. I have this, I don't know what color to call it, French gray number 3. If you're a Prismacolor marker user. Warm, yeah, really warm gray. Good time to carve this man's head and this woman's head. There, that's better. right, I need to go somewhere else completely and give this a rest. I am getting a sinking feeling that I am not going to finish this tonight, which is very disappointing. Well, not very. No, let me rephrase that. Slightly disappointing, slightly. But hey, I'm telling myself, as I tell you, way, way more important to produce a good painting than it is to produce a painting in a certain time frame. And that's from a guy, myself, who's essentially built a career on painting fast at live events and weddings and so forth. All right, I'm gonna move you so I'm not standing right in your way. Sorry about the extreme oblique angle. So I have essentially the exact color on my brushes that's already here. But what's here, of course, the color is built up of many, many layers of transparent and translucent layers. And what I've got on my brushes right now is opaque. So the visual game that I'm playing here is our eyes get a kick out of being mildly confused. I know I say that a lot and then feel like I always have to explain, because that is so counterintuitive, because in the rest of life, generally speaking, we do not enjoy being confused, right? Let me use some other language. Our eye enjoys being manipulated. And once again, everybody that doesn't know art goes, "No, I don't enjoy being manipulated. I hate being manipulated." That's just because you don't know about art. The more skillful an artist is, the more exquisitely he or she manipulates the viewer, and the more pleasure, even ecstasy, the viewer experiences. The more skill the artist has, the more accurately he or she manipulates the viewer, and then the more ecstasy the viewer experiences.
Best friend.
Likewise. So that's counterintuitive, right? And the other one, counterintuitive, I just said a few minutes ago, is you would say to me, I don't like being confused. And that's just, again, because it's because you're not an artist. You don't understand art. I was talking about, I have on my brush paint that is essentially the same color. And now I've just switched to a green. Why did I switch to green? Because that's what's here. But what's on my brushes now is opaque, and it creates a little momentary jitter, if you will, wiggle of confusion in the mind of the viewer. And contrary to what you probably think, that momentary confusion is felt as pleasure. Because what is confusion? Transparent color versus opaque color. Bum, bum, bum. It takes your eye a while to figure out, wow, what's going on there? You might say that looks interesting, but I can't tell what it is. And that's the confusion. Here comes a beer bus. The trolley pub. This is Saturday night. I'm going to work on this building a little more. I'm just about running out of spaces on my palette for mixing colors, so I might need to get out the razor and scrape stuff off here in a minute. Oh, you can see my palette. That's good. All right, so I'm going to talk about these dark, those were made with transparent paint, right? And in reality, on that building, they're reddish brown. In fact, I want to make them slightly redder. Whoa, too much red. You ever stick your brush in a paint and, a pile of paint and you just miscalculate? I know you do. We all do. I want you to know we all do that. So that's what I just extremely over-redded it. And we're okay now.
This is what you got going on
Hey.
today, huh?
Yeah. So it's this view right here. But last night there were umbrellas. So I came back tonight and the umbrellas are gone. So it's really making it hard for people to figure out, what are you painting? But that's it. So I started last night and I hope to finish tonight. Although at the moment I'm dogging it.
Dogging it. Yeah.
I'm kind of going a little slow.
It looks pretty good though.
Thank you. Yeah, it's coming. It's got a ways to go. This area down here is closest to being finished, and even it's not finished, but that's closer than the rest of the painting. At the moment, I'm doing hard edges. So from here, all this is all real soft and smoochy. Down here, it's hard. I try to control. There's a real delicate balance. You want more soft and hard. So I do it by doing a whole layer of really messy edges, and then
go back and touch it up.
Yep, and try not to overdo it.
Yeah,
that's the hard part. Do you paint or do you draw? What do you do? I'm Dan. What's your name?
Nick.
Hi, Nick. Good to meet
I'm
you.
actually a certified tattoo artist and body modification artist.
Are you really?
Yeah, so I do a little bit of everything.
Oh my goodness.
Graffiti, airbrush, painting. I do a little bit
No
of
kidding. Yeah.
Except
All
for
right.
my hard line, instead of trying to do it with a brush, I cheat and I use Sharpie markers.
Yeah. Right.
But of course, a lot of the art that I do, I use different varieties of Sharpie markers for everything.
Yep. That's cool. On people's bodies? That's the only kind of tattoo I'd want would be a Sharpie marker. So it'll wear off after a while.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I do a little bit of everything though.
Good for you. Where are you from? Are you from here, or how long you been here?
I've been in North Carolina about 2 years now.
Where'd you come from?
I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, welcome to North Carolina.
It's been good to me so far.
Good. Glad to hear it. I hope it is. Yeah, that's better.
A bit of hard edge for your wood mark.
Yep. I think I'm at a point now. I better take a break from all this and do those umbrellas because they're just so big.
Yeah, the umbrellas.
And it's I was disappointed they're not up tonight. And of course, I'm trying to capture, the light about an hour and a half or so ago. 2 hours ago. Yeah, evening light.
Well, I mean, based on what you got from the positioning of your light source and everything like that, it shouldn't be too hard to go through.
And so is a tattoo, is that your full-time job?
I do a little bit of everything, really. Right now, my full-time job is actually a maintenance man for a church.
Oh, good for you. They pay the bills. And you're serving people.
Yeah. And then my tattooing is my secondary, and
Yeah.
I'm also a jewelry maker.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I do.
You're an artsy guy all around.
For the most part.
Me
yeah.
too.
Anything I can do with my hands.
Yep. I recognize that. Good for you. There's something very satisfying about working with your hands,
Really
as you
is.
know.
It really is.
Even being a janitor. When
Yeah.
you're done, it looks good. I think about that all the time with all the poor people that their job is all on a computer. When they walk out of the office, it looks exactly the same as when they walked in. They don't make anything. And anyway, all you people that do that, bless your hearts, but I'm broadcasting on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
And they enjoy hearing people chat. So,
Oh, of course.
so don't like most people go.
Oh, no, that don't bother me.
Good.
John's, we broadcast most of our stuff live, and I'm usually on occasion called out to do service work, everything.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
On there during the services.
Cool. So I've run out of room on my palette, so I'm gonna waste all that paint. It's better than trying to waste the time to save it.
Save it, yeah.
That would take way more time.
You using acrylic base?
This is oil.
Oh, the oil?
Now the painting is acrylic underneath and oil on top. I paint in layers and layers and layers and layers, and that's about 15 layers right there. About 12 layers of acrylic maybe, and pencil. That's unconventional. The pencil is late. It's not. I don't draw first and then paint. I paint first and then draw. And you can relate to that. The creative process.
Well, the beautiful thing about art is everybody's got their own
That's right.
process and
That's
their
right.
own style.
Yep, exactly. Yep. I should probably stand back and look at it from a distance. I haven't done that in a while. Let me do that. Yeah, I definitely need to tackle the umbrellas, and I need to get more energy up here because right now the energy's way too.
Chaos right there at the bottom.
Yeah, it's at the bottom. Yeah, so I need to raise that up. So yeah, I think I'll tackle the. I looked over there for the umbrellas.
For the umbrella.
I think I'll tackle the umbrellas next. Your name again?
Nick.
Nick. Now, I should have said it because that's what I was thinking. I'm Dan.
Nice to meet you.
You hang out downtown very much?
A little bit, yeah. I do a lot of service work downtown,
Do
helping
you?
homeless communities and stuff.
Do
like
you
that,
really?
so, yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, one of the organizations that I work for is Love Wins Ministry.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's no longer a ministry; it's a community engagement center now.
And who's the leader? Who was the leader?
Well, it's actually a non-profit organization.
I know.
So they got a board of directors.
Yeah. But what name do I associate? Was that? I'm forgetting his name.
Well, Hugh was originally the man that
Hugh.
actually started.
That's right. That's right. That's
he
the
was
name.
the minister that got arrested for
That's
giving the homeless sandwiches. In
That's
Foursquare.
that's correct. That is correct. Yeah.
He's a very, very good man. He's currently, right now, he is in, I think, what was it, Mississippi or Tennessee?
But does he still live here?
No.
Oh, did he move away?
He moved away on the basis of helping another community.
Yeah.
He owns a farm where people can come in and get the food that they need because there's not any local shopping centers.
Wow.
So, he's always doing his service work, always trying to better this world. You know?
He is. Good for you. Good for him. Yes, Hugh. That's the name I was looking for. Good for you, man.
Good people.
He is good people. Do you know Alice McGee by any chance?
Alice McGee's name sounds familiar.
Church in the Woods.
Church in the Woods. Okay, yes, I am familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know they interfaced quite a bit.
Yeah, I know. And then you have Church on the Hill, which is a big one.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff. Then of course St. John's, who I'm through, Love Wins, who I'm through.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, there's a lot of different organizations.
Yeah, there
that
are.
out
I know
there.
there are. Yeah, there are. Lord bless all of you.
It's funny how just that little bit of blue makes a difference.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I gotta head down the road. Plenty of
Good to
stuff
meet
do.
you.
Good to meet you.
Nick. Bless you.
Beautiful painting. by the way.
Thank you. Oh, that was fun. It's funny. You know, you can't tell a book by its cover. You didn't see that guy. He walks up, he's got a big nose ring, not a small one, a big one. He's tattooed all over, up one side and down the other. And you tend to put people in categories, and then it's fun to have those categories smashed and discover. Oh, you missed that one by a mile. That was fun. I don't know if you can see. Sharon, London. Let me back up here a little bit. Back up. Yeah, drink more water. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Let me, Jason. Thank you for reminding me. I do. I'm not drinking enough. Hang on. I got to sit down too. Sit down and drink. Don't drink and drive. This is a good opportunity for me to point out something. So I am ostensibly in the opaque phase, right? I'm using opaque paints, and I say ostensibly because most of what I'm putting on is not actually opaque. It's opaque paint on my palette, but I'm applying it so thinly that the effect is actually translucent. So I'm applying layers of translucent, but fairly thick translucent. All right, what I want to point out is in just the blue that I've just done, I'm being very careful not to cover up, obliterate, or plaster over, all those terms mean the same thing, everything that's underneath. Make sense? So I'm leaving gaps between strokes. Like here, this yellow-orange, I don't know if you can see it.
My daughters, you're painting because one of them is like a really good artist.
Really?
But that is amazing.
Thank you.
Can y'all see it?
Come around here to the front.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn the camera around. Isn't that gorgeous?
So it's right here. I started last night, but tonight when I came back.
Right here.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm here.
How
But they took down the
cool.
umbrellas tonight, so
Oh, so now you're just going off the
up
memory?
exactly in the photograph that I took last night and so on.
Yeah, I love it. That's
Well, thank you.
gorgeous. It's amazing. Look, he's got a cool setup here too.
I do indeed.
Yes, it's pretty cool.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyway, so the point is I leave lots of gaps between strokes. I don't plaster, I don't cover up, I don't obliterate. In fact, right there, I intentionally left a gap around a pencil line, an abstract, meaningless pencil line that goes right along there. Has nothing to do with reality, although maybe it was an early attempt to draw the umbrella. Be that as it may, it now has nothing to do with reality. And I painted right around it. Why? Just because it looks cool. Why do we do painting? Okay, let me. If you've been with me for any length of time at all, you've heard me say, first half of your art journey, you paint stuff that looks like stuff. Second half of art journey, you paint stuff because it looks cool. Like, why is there a little intense spot of red? Well, it's underpainting. Did I plan for that to be there? Heck no. It just turned out. But am I going to cover it up? Heck no. No. I'm going to keep that. Why? Because it looks cool. I've learned this lesson very much in the last couple of years while Nancy and I have had grandchildren living with us and their parents for 2 years. And, they like kids, ages 2, 4, 6, 8. They ask me often, Bika, it's my name is Bika. Bika, why'd you do that? They're watching me paint. Why'd you do that? And I've discovered that I've got the same answer really for every single question they ask. Why'd you do that? Bika, why'd you do that? And the answer is because it looks cool, or more precisely, because I think it's going to look cool, okay? Because you put it down not knowing exactly what it's going to look like, but that's why you paint. That's why you paint. It's not. And again, this does not include hyperrealism, realism, tight realism, photorealism. No. That's a different world. It's an interesting world. It's not the most real painting, in my, again, humble opinion. Okay, so I have mixed up a very particular, shade of aqua, turquoise, whatever you might want to call it, for the top of this umbrella. And don't you, that having covered an area that large with one color of paint, then that creates an unpleasant feeling in the mind of the viewer. It feels like somebody painted it all the same, which of course is what I just did. So very quickly, I don't have to do it quickly, I can do it later, but it's usually I might forget if I put it off till later, then have to come back and do it. So I just mixed some more titanium white with whatever color that was, and now I'm going to put some of this on top of the blue that I just put down. Where? It literally almost doesn't matter. Like right now, I'm not doing like shading. No, I'm not. I'm just doing this principle of slightly lighter. Now, the word slight is important. If it's a whole bunch lighter, it will not have the pleasing effect that you're looking for. Here's an interesting thing. I think it'll be. Why am I doing this, Bika? Because I think it's going to look cool. There. One little. I'll zoom in just for a minute. I just use a palette knife. Again, there is no realism reason for that mark right there. Why'd you do that, Bika? Why? Because it looks cool. Okay? Now, right. Now another principle, closely related to that one, but not the same, is here are 4 blue umbrellas. And I am assuming, as I do, that sure as heck, that those 4 umbrellas had better not all be exactly the same color, right? Okay, now the same thing. Add some white to what I just put down. so that it's slightly lighter, and then come back and do bits and pieces. Now, I will admit here on this one that this street light is real close to this umbrella. It's sort of close. So I am using this slightly lighter color as a little bit of a highlight. But that doesn't explain these little bits over here.
Your painting is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
What up, TC?
What's TC?
Mark, where are you? Mark. Quanto cuesta?
Okay, umbrella number 3. Now, once again, lighten that. So it's a very pale blue now. Nah, not crazy about that. Still not crazy about that. There we go. Now I'm crazy about it. All right, one last umbrella top to go. I'm mixing up a bunch of ultramarine and phthalo to get my blue color and a little bit of purple. So again, just because I want this umbrella to be, each umbrella to be a slightly different color. Again, being careful not to obliterate. See, there's this blush of blue, of a yellowish green right there. Is kind of pleasant. It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't matter to me. That it doesn't make like logical sense. What matters to me is that it looks cool. We spend the first half of our art journey learning how to paint stuff that looks like stuff. Hopefully at some point the light bulb comes on. We spend the second half of our art journey painting stuff that goes way beyond realism and goes somewhere transcendent. It's not the word most of my passers-by would use tonight, but if I do a good enough job, that is in fact what I will be producing in them, is a sense of the transcendent. I started last night and got rained out after a couple hours.
Oh my God.
And then came back tonight and they took down it's right here. And they,
The umbrellas you were here earlier.
yeah, they had umbrellas last night.
What's your handle?
It is Dan Nelson Art. Thanks for asking. YouTube, Dan Nelson Art.
Dan Nelson Art.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this is the slightly lighter. There, I think I'm going to stand back and look at this in a minute, but I think I'm liking getting those umbrellas done. I think it's made a big difference because for a good while there, all of the energy on this canvas was right down here. Let me raise you up a little bit. And now, of course, I pulled a bunch of energy up here. Color, edges, contrast, all there. And color, edges, contrast, and realism. All four of those things are energy elements. All right, I'm going to play a trick. Oh, by the way, forgive me. I'm going to stand back. I'm going to take a short break and stand back about 15, 20 feet and look at this. See if I still like it.
What's the name of your event? What's up, Pastor?
I'm good. Good to see you. It's okay. I'm looking at my painting. Of course, now what's happening is the umbrellas are. I sure do. This one's for sale right here, right now.
How much is it?
I've got a $500 bid, and I will not let it go for $500.
Bid. It's
So
worth
if
every penny.
well, okay, in a gallery of mine, this is $24.50.
Wow.
So
Yeah. Okay.
the deal is one of these things. Oh, these. It says up there that you can't read right here.
Oh, okay.
It says if you're lucky enough to catch me on the street, you're just lucky. So
That's cool. Yeah.
that's.
What is your name? Are you
I'm Dan. I am. That's quite. No. I've got a business.
One, but I'm scared I would mess it up through the night.
Oh well, I'll deliver it to you. In fact, it's not finished. If you buy one, we'll be in touch. I'll deliver it to your home next week.
Really? They're
Absolutely.
$1? Or no?
Oh yeah, these are $1. I won't deliver
you mean
the painting. Oh, I will not
for that
deliver the
price.
bookmark.
Yeah,
I won't
was
deliver a
like-
bookmark to your house. That's funny.
Oh, I wish I could afford that painting.
Yeah, I want. That was funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was funny. I
Here,
was like,
no,
I'll deliver the book.
here, you won't mess that up. Stick it in your purse.
Here, let me give you.
Yeah, you don't need a business. I was looking for a business card, but you don't need it now if you have a bookmark.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that's funny. No, I do not deliver bookmarks to your home next
I
week.
know. I was like.
That's a little creepy,
Yeah,
isn't it?
no, I
That's
was
a little
like,
creepy.
okay. I was like, well, I thought maybe you meant
That's
like
funny.
put it in the mail or something.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Today a
That's your
bookmark,
Facebook.
tomorrow, real painting.
Yes.
Yes, this is on YouTube.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was funny. All right, so I'm mixing up blue, mid-tone, medium blue again because a lot of these people need to have blue on them if they're sitting under this intense blue umbrella.
Okay, we're gonna go across the street. Okay. Okay. You show them.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, see, you can see what I'm doing there. I'm trying to, thank you, trying to give the impression of, you know, blue light that's, without being too specific about it, blue light that's coming through the umbrellas and reflecting on all the people down here. All right, there's no question in my mind now that I really need to get up here in the traffic zone. And up here and get some energy going up there. Headlights and taillights and hints of automobiles. As it is right now, this area is too dark. It's not standing up to the composition. My music keeps dying on me tonight, but now that the bands are cranking up around here, it's probably a moot point for me to try to compete with my little speaker. All right, let's do some Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Boy, that's bright, isn't it? Yeah, I better not. I'm chickening out there. That's a little too bright. Let me back off a little bit from that and build up to that intensity. Those few marks that I put are okay for now, but yeah, that's a little bit too much. Let's back this down even a little more. So I'm mixing up some blue and some Naples yellow with that to make it a dull or off-white. My legs are asking me to sit down again. I'm going to agree with them. Now, in my thinking, I do not need to spell out really much of anything up here at all. Other than headlights and taillights, this is all in the fuzzy distance. It's just the mist of depth. Here's a truism worth reflecting on anyway. It's not absolutely true, but it's pretty close. That is that you can almost not, you almost can't overdo atmospheric perspective. You almost can't, I'll take the almost out. You can't overdo atmospheric perspective. Now that is not literally true, but for all you students, forget the literal. That is true. You cannot overdo atmospheric perspective. How much atmospheric perspective do you need? The answer is easy. More. How much atmospheric perspective do you need? The answer is easy. More. Okay. So that's what I'm doing right now. All of this is just lost in the mist of evening sunset light and headlights bouncing off chrome and, well, not chrome, bouncing off shiny cars. I was showing my age for a second there. Remember when cars used to have chrome on them? That was kind of fun. I'm going to come in here in a minute and do some taillights. I'm mixing up a dirty white right now to come over this direction.
Great job. Looks good.
Thank you. I jumped. That girl said that. She was kind of close to me and she said it so loudly I literally jumped. I hope she didn't notice because she was very friendly. I'm going to step back again. Look at this. You're helping me. You're helping me.
How am I helping you? How am I helping you?
You're the judge. You're the judge. You're judging me.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful picture. Wonderful.
Thank you. Well, I really hate to admit it, but I am find myself running out of gas. And it just dawned on me right that minute that, you know what? There's nothing that says I can't come back Monday evening and instead of finishing it at home. Nothing says I can't come back to the same spot and have my bid clipboard out. Little surprised that I didn't get more activity on the bid sheet. There you go. There you go. Then again, the painting hasn't been finished enough to elicit a great deal of buying interest. It's one thing to say, oh, that's a cool picture. It's quite another to say, I'll pay $600 for that unfinished picture. I understand that. If this were a plein air painting competition, I would stick it out, suck it up, suck it up, stick it out, keep painting. But guess what? It's not. So I don't have to impress anybody. Many of you have already very kindly said I'm the hardest working artist you know. I'm sure that is not true, but it is kind of you to say that. So nothing to need to prove. Boy, that was a fun row right there. Well, this guy looks like he's wearing a hat. I guess he is now. How about that? And this guy looks like he's got a bun. And that's a little contrived. I don't want him to be wearing a bun, so I just debunned him. Okay, let's do just a little more. Thank you. Let's do the taillights and then maybe call it a night. There are several areas of this painting that I like very much. I really like this. And look at this green. Do you see that green right there? Where did that come from? Well, you know where it came from. It came from taking a green oil stick and going like this. Actually, there's green paint underneath before I did that. But it has nothing to do with realism. It just looks cool. And I love the interplay between the yellow, gold, and green and the pinkish brown sticks in front of it. There's several. I am happy with the painting, and I'd much rather quit and tackle it again next week with a fresh brain and body than continue to push through and then wish that I hadn't. You can ask me, does that ever happen? Oh, yes. Yes. Have I ever wished that I had quit? The answer is yes. All these people need a little bit more color on them. Here and there. The red lady especially. The red lady with blonde hair. I like the way this man's head completely disappears. Completely lost edge and turns into a green something. It just goes up into this green, just disappears. Funny how the human mind works, but it doesn't bother the viewer. Of course, at the moment, it's just me. But I'm quite sure that will not bother the viewer at all. The fact that his head, it's a lost edge, it's called. It has a name. That dynamic principle has a name. All right, so I'm doing some more red taillight stuff. Yeah, and then add white and yellow to that. You know that you cannot just add white to red and come up with something that feels like light red. It's hard to describe. I know this sounds, but it doesn't look like light red. It looks like pink. It's shifted. It's a fairly, in my opinion, unpleasant bubblegum pink. Little bits of reflection here and there. Ooh, that's nice. That's a nice color. It's a very intense red orange is what's on my brush right now. Oh, I'd like to use it somewhere else since I've got it on my brush. The natives are definitely getting restless around here. There's higher and higher percentage of people who've had evidently a little bit too much to drink. All right, I'm going to add back to the taillights more white and more yellow. You want to buy a painting? Subtle. That was subtle, wasn't it? Subtle. Like,
If I were interested, what would that run?
if you get it in a gallery, it's $2,450, $2,450. But as these little signs here that you can't read in the dark say, if you're lucky enough to catch me on the street, I'd let this one go for $600. I've got a $500 bid right now.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank
but
you.
I can't afford it.
Yeah, me either. I can understand that. I can understand that.
Now is this road?
Yeah, yes, it's right here. But last night I started it last night, and the umbrellas were up. Came back tonight to finish, and went, oh no, they took down the umbrellas. So let's make it.
Hours have you spent on it?
For a little 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
7 hours?
probably. Yeah. Yeah. 7 hours and counting.
That's $90 an hour.
If somebody buys it.
Sir?
If somebody buys it.
Yeah, that's right.
And that not everybody gets bought. So it would be nice to make it $90 an hour all day, every day. You got that right.
Well, it's a beautiful piece of work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wouldn't you say?
I love that you set up here too early. Where is the big
Thank you. Just a few really intense whites for suggestion of headlights back here. Right. Time for me to pack up. I think it'll be a good painting. If I do take this home and work on it again next week, I will certainly be doing a glaze on top of this one. Why? Because as it's turning out, there's quite a bit of opaque paint. Now, none of this is finished, but I don't want to carry it too far, so, you know. But there's quite a bit of opaque stuff here, and that to me is a good signal that it needs transparent on top of it. I'm going to give this woman here a bit of a waist. and I messed that up, so I have to fix it. Dirty purple. There we go. That's better. Now I keep messing up. There we go. That's, I was trying to indicate a diagonal line at her waist there, at her hips, so that she would not be caught standing straight. That's better. All right, let me pull you guys down a little bit and look at any last chats that I might have missed. I think there are some. Thank you, Sheer in London. You asked me a question. Let me see if I come to it now. What brand of paint do I use? Good question. It's a funny answer, but pretty true, is whatever's on sale. I'm always experimenting, trying new brands. I'm not stuck on any brand whatsoever. Little by little, I'm discovering, oh, in this brand, I like this color. In that brand, I like that color. The only one that comes, well, Naples Yellow in Daler Rowney, Naples Yellow. Charvan Oxide Red, and so on. But I'm not fussy, and really pretty much anything that's on sale. I do use one student grade paint that's famous. I talk about it quite a bit. Raw Umber student grade. Any student grade. I did not get any more bids, Barbara. Thanks for asking. Rowdy crowd, you're right. Do I name the paintings, Gary? Yeah, you pretty much have to name paintings if you sell in a gallery, which is always a nuisance to me. I'm comfortable enough with the literary arts, with being a writer. You know, I'm comfortable writing, but it's just like, oh, it's the last thing I'd always forget. It's like, oh, that's right, I need a title. So more than half the time, I say when I'm dropping off paintings at a gallery, which I'm not in any galleries at the moment, I have to make up titles right while I'm in there talking to the gallery owner. All right, I'm happy with the way the painting is going. I'm not happy like that I'm finished, but I'm happy with where it's going. It's beautiful color, lively. I think it's a respectable composition and subject matter. Really interesting subject matter. All those figures. I am glad now that I worked as hard as I did. I sat down for many minutes with a pencil and drew out all of these characters fairly carefully. They're not done yet, but they're all well on their way. None of them are horribly off, and that's huge. All right, thanks guys. I enjoy your company very much. I am not painting tomorrow. Lori, thanks for asking. I'm going to take tomorrow off and jump in the pool and hang out with the kids and hang out with my wife. Her name is I'm being funny. We haven't not spent a whole lot of time together this last couple of weeks. Her name is Nancy. So I'm going to take the day off like a good Sunday person. I look forward to it very much. But I'll be back in the saddle hopefully on Monday, doing who knows what, finishing this perhaps. Right. Bye y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.